Good morning, student. So we will start balancing of reciprocating masses. We have completed balancing of rotating masses. Okay. So in balancing of rotating masses, there were two main concepts: static balancing and dynamic balancing, and how we solve the problem of static balancing and dynamic balancing by two methods: graphical method and then analytical method. Okay. And we also saw what are the conditions required to balance in static and in dynamic case. Okay, so in static case the condition of balancing was summation of or the resultant of all forces should be equal to 0, and on dynamic case with the force the resultant of couple also must be 0. Okay, so with this recap I will start balancing of reciprocating masses. Okay, now not rotating but reciprocating. Just example, in IC engine piston is reciprocating parts. Okay, so we know that in unit 4 we have derived the acceleration of the reciprocating mass or a piston. If you remember, the acceleration was f, if you call it f or a, it was r omega square cos theta plus cos 2 theta by n. Please go and recheck it. We have derived this. Okay, first you have derived the piston displacement, then velocity, and then acceleration. Okay, that too reciprocating acceleration. So this was the acceleration of piston, or it may be a reciprocating mass. So if it is the acceleration, what will be the force? The force required to accelerate mass m is, because F is equal to m into a, m into acceleration, so force will be is equal to mass into acceleration. Okay, so mr omega square cos theta. So now this is your unbalanced force. If the reciprocating mass is having mass m, and if it is accelerating with this acceleration, there will be force on this. Okay, so this force is having two parts: mr omega square cos theta plus mr omega square cos 2 theta by n. Okay, so here you have two force. We call this part as primary accelerating force and we call this as secondary accelerating force. Okay, so now I will open my notes and I will explain something from there also. So balancing of reciprocating masses. So now you have to remember, if m is mass of reciprocating parts and if your engine is external combustion engine, then the mass will be cross head plus piston rod plus piston. Okay, and if it is internal combustion engine, the mass will be only of piston. Okay, because in external combustion engine the reciprocating parts comprise these all. Okay, it is the combination, means it's the combined, all these parts make reciprocates or makes reciprocating parts. So if it is external combustion engine, then m will be the mass of crosshead, mass of piston rod, and mass of piston. But if it is internal combustion engine, then it will be only the mass of piston. Okay, so in nutshell or in short, this is the acceleration. Okay, and the direction of acceleration is along the this line. Okay, the line along the reciprocating direction of piston. Okay, so this is the direction of acceleration. So there will be an unbalanced force which we called F1 is equal to ma. Okay, so this is your unbalanced force. It is given by this magnitude, and every moment it is changing in magnitude but direction is same. Okay, so the direction of if you remember, in the starting of class of this balancing I told you rotating mass have same magnitude. Okay, but changing direction every moment, okay, but reciprocating mass have same direction and changing moment magnitude every moment, okay. So moment will be magnitude will changing every moment because this theta is changing, okay. So this magnitude will change, but direction is along this line only, it's not changing. So here we have two part, primary and secondary, and if you see, this is mr omega square cos theta, but this is mr omega square cos 2 theta and divided by n, and n is very large quantity. If you remember, n was the ratio of L by R. L is the connecting rod length, R is the crank radius, okay. So because this is large quantity, this is very small in comparison of this primary force. So before, if you want to balance the reciprocating mass, we should concentrate more on primary forces. Secondary force, because secondary force are less in magnitude, or okay, so we will concentrate on primary forces first. So primary balancing of reciprocating masses, okay. So again I will go to book, okay. So here we have two mass two accelerating force, primary and then secondary. Maximum value of primary force is mr omega square. In that case cos theta becomes 1, so cos theta is equal to 1 at when theta is equal to 0, okay, and theta is equal to 180, it will become negative side, so but only direction will change, okay. So the value will, the magnitude will be mr omega square, so that both point we have to consider. So theta is equal to 0 means when this piston is at extreme position, and again theta is equal to 180 means when piston is at this side extreme position. So and maximum value of the secondary force is mr omega square. Now cos 2 theta becomes 1 divided by n, okay, but n is usually much greater than unity. The secondary force is small compared with the primary force, this we have already seen, and can be safely neglected for the slow speed engine. So this secondary unbalancing force we can ignore or neglect if your speed of the engine is slow, okay. So now what we are concentrating on is not on secondary force, this secondary force, but we will concentrate on only this primary force, okay. We are concentrating on this primary force, okay. So first we will do balancing of primary forces, primary and balancing forces, okay. So that's why primary balancing of reciprocating masses, okay. So see here how they are balancing, okay. To balance this, at some radial distance he is adding mass m, b, exactly he is calling it capital B. I will explain how it is different, because you have already added some mass here to balance rotating part, okay, and this is not the mass which you are adding to rotating unbalance, okay, the unbalancing because of rotating parts, but this we are adding to balance the reciprocating forces or reciprocating mass, okay. So that's why it is different. So B into B is equal to M into R, okay. So whatever, but so it comes out B into B means the mass which we are adding to balance the reciprocating mass, the balancing mass which we are adding to reciprocating mass is equal to M into R, okay, and this B is the radial distance at which the mass, this small b is the radial distance, okay. So now this B omega square is having two components. This component cos component, because this is theta, this is theta, and here we are having sine component. Okay, so now what you have done, you have added this B as balancing mass to balance the reciprocating mass or reciprocating forces. So you are getting cos component. Now this cos component is balancing this component. Okay, so the problem has been solved on this direction, but when you have added this B for balancing, the one component which is B omega square sine theta is coming extra. Okay, and this is causing the vibration in vertical direction. So this force tries to lift the wheel from the track. Okay, so that is the problem. You are not balancing the entire mass. Okay, so that's why we will not balance the reciprocating parts completely, because if you try to balance it completely, it will balance in horizontal direction, but it will create problem in vertical direction. What we have done, we are applying this balance mass to counter this unbalanced force. Okay, so you are able to counter this unbalanced force in horizontal direction, but the problem is coming in vertical direction, because this sine theta sine component is creating vibration in vertical direction. So when it will be if sine theta is equal to 0, it will become 0, but when theta becomes 90 degree, it will become maximum, and it will try to lift the wheel from the track. If you why I am calling it track, because we will come it later now, because this type of problem they are facing in locomotive engine. Okay, so that's why you are not balancing this reciprocating parts completely, and we will balance them partially. Okay, so partial balancing of reciprocating parts now come into the picture. So for example, if C is the fraction of the reciprocating mass to be balanced, please remember here, this C is the fraction which you want to balance, because you are not going to balance complete mass in reciprocating parts. Okay, so what we are doing, we are taking some fraction, and this fraction will be obviously from greater than 0 and less than 1. Okay, so it can be 1.2, 1 by 2, 2 by 3, or 3 by 4. It can be 50%, 66%, or 75%, whatever it is. Okay, so this B into B will be is equal to C into M into R. Okay, now as here you derived B into B. What is this B? Balancing mass. Capital B is balancing mass, small b is the radial distance of balancing mass, where you have to add, and you got it equal to M into R. How you got? Because and what is this M here? M is reciprocating mass. Okay, M is reciprocating mass, R is the radial crank radius. Okay, so now this balancing mass you will get by this formula. B into B will be is equal to Cm into R, and this Cm into R will be obviously less than M into R, because C is less than 1. Okay, so after partial balancing, what they got will be explained here. Okay, so I will come at, so after partial balancing, along the line of a stroke, what was the unbalanced force? Unbalanced force was, earlier it was, they thought we have completely balanced, but because this B into B is not equal to M into R, it is less than M into R, so that's why how much unbalance is still there? It is mr omega square cos theta minus bb omega square cos theta, and this is bb omega square cos theta. Now this bb, earlier we thought it is equal if you are doing complete balancing, but you are not doing complete balancing, so this bb is not equal to M into R, it is equal to CMR, and C is less than 1. Okay, so here still you have some unbalancing force along the horizontal, the line of stroke of piston, or along the, if we call horizontal line. So mr omega square cos theta minus c mr omega square cos theta. So mr omega square cos theta, if you take common, what we are getting is 1 minus c mr omega square cos theta. Okay, so this is unbalanced force after partial balancing along the line of stroke. And what about perpendicular to the line of stroke? Perpendicular to the line of stroke, it is exact, we don't have any, this is the creating because of balancing. This has been created because we are trying to balance it in horizontal direction. So in vertical direction, this is the unbalanced force, which is bb omega square sine theta, and bb is equal to c into m. Okay, where c is the fraction, m is the reciprocating mass, r is the radial crank radius, and omega angular velocity. Okay, so now this is the unbalanced force along perpendicular to the line of stroke, and this is the unbalanced force along the line of stroke. Okay, so what were the effect of this? Okay, so these were from my notes. Now I will, if you go to textbook, this everything is written here. Okay, so he has not taken in the form of bb, but see here what he is trying to do is, here you have unbalanced force, this is inertia force mr omega square cos theta. Okay, so what they thought is, if I will add some mass at some radial distance, then opposite to the crank, then it will balance the shaking force. How? Because this m at radial distance r, mr omega square, okay, this force, which is obviously balance force. Now I will tell about this m. See here, it has been written here that this m is the this is the usual approach of balancing the shaking force is by addition of a rotating counter mass at radius r directly opposite to the crank, which however provides only a partial balance. This counter mass is in addition to the mass used to balance the rotating unbalance due to the mass at the crank pin. Please understand, this counter mass which he is adding here, m, which he is calling, okay, that's why in my notes it is written b to just make different. Okay, so this m is not the counter mass, or if you can say, this is the additional mass which we have added to counter the rotating unbalance. Okay, so this is to reciprocating, just to counter reciprocating unbalance. Okay, so I will come here again. I will the inertia force due to primary accelerating force is shown in figure A and B. Okay, so you have these forces. So the force exerted by the crankshaft on the main bearing has two components. So F21, this, okay, this has two components, vertical and horizontal. Horizontal force, this F21H is an unbalanced shaking force, and the vertical force F21V of F41V balance each other but form an unbalanced shaking couple. It will come later. Okay, we will come on this all here. Not, I think, balancing, yeah, hammer blow and variation of tractive force, it will come later. So The shaking force produce linear vibration of the frame in the horizontal direction, whereas the shaking couple produce an oscillating vibration. Thus it is seen that the shaking force F21H is the only unbalanced force. It may hamper the smooth running of the engine, thus effort is made to balance the same. However, it is not at all possible to balance it completely, and only some modification can be made. Okay, so what was happening here, because of this F21H, this is balanced by this horizontal inertia force, but this was the unbalanced vertical, which he is calling shaking force. Okay, so to balance this, he is not using it completely balancing, and he is using a modification. So means he is doing partial balancing. Okay, so to minimize the effect of the unbalanced force, a compromise is usually made, that is 2/3 of the reciprocating mass is balanced, or value between 1/2 and 3/4. If C is the fraction of the reciprocating mass, thus balanced, then primary force balanced by the mass is equal to CMR omega square cos theta. Okay, so this has been balanced, but still you have unbalanced. Okay, because how much unbalanced force was already there? Mr omega square cos theta. How much you have balanced? CMR omega square cos theta. So how much unbalance will be still there? So primary force unbalanced by the mass will be 1 minus C Mr omega square cos theta. Okay, so vertical component of the centrifugal force which remains unbalanced is CMR omega square sin theta. Okay, so this is the unbalanced force along the line of stroke, and this is the unbalanced force perpendicular to the line of stroke. So in fact, in reciprocating engine, unbalanced force in the direction of the line of stroke are more dangerous than the forces perpendicular to the line of stroke. Okay, so unbalanced force in the direction of the line of stroke are more dangerous than the force perpendicular to the line of stroke. Okay, so this is not that much dangerous, this force is more dangerous. Okay, so if you take resultant of this, it will come. Okay, this is in horizontal direction, this is in this is in unbalance in horizontal direction, this is in vertical direction. So you can take resultant. Okay, it will come this. The resultant unbalanced force is minimum when C is equal to 1/2. Okay, so now very important point, the method just discussed above to balance the disturbing effect of a reciprocating mass is just equivalent to as if a revolving mass at the crank pin is completely balanced by providing a counter mass at the same radius diametrically opposite to the crank. Thus, if MP is the mass of the crank pin, C is the fraction of the reciprocating mass M. To be balanced, the mass at the crank pin may be considered as Cm plus Mp, which is to be completely balanced. Okay, so we were talking here about reciprocating unbalance. Okay, we were not talking about rotating. Now when you will solve the problem, you will understand. So I will cover this example in next video. Meanwhile, here balancing of locomotive are two types, coupled and uncoupled. If two or more pairs of wheels are coupled together to increase the adhesive force between the wheels and track, it is called a coupled locomotive. Otherwise it is an uncoupled locomotive. So this type of problem they have faced in locomotive, and how, like from passenger to, if you talk about an Indian railway, if you remember, you can feel all this type of effect. Okay, sometime that coach jump also, so that will be unbalanced in vertical direction, and sometimes you feel jerk in horizontal direction, and that is because of unbalanced force in along the line of stroke. Okay, so that's why they are talking about locomotive. So locomotive usually have two cylinders. Okay, if the cylinders are mounted between the wheels, it is called an inside cylinder locomotive, and if the cylinders are outside the wheels, it is an outside cylinder locomotive. Okay, so if you see this in my notes, here you will find two cylinders locomotive. Okay, so inside cylinder locomotive and outside cylinder locomotive. If wheel are outside and cylinder are inside, then you call it inside cylinder locomotive. Okay, and if opposite, you will call it outside locomotive cylinder. Okay, so to start the engine first time, you have to assume configuration diagram like this. Okay, so this is cylinder 1, this is cylinder 2. 90, there will be 90-degree angle between both the cylinders plane. Okay, so if not given by default, take 90-degree. So we will take this 90-degree. Firing order should be set 90-degree for crank rotation. What is firing order, we will come later here. So this is your configuration diagram, but this we will see when we will solve problem. So now effect of partial balancing on two cylinder locomotive. What was the effect of partial balancing on two cylinder locomotive? So variation in tractive forces. So tractive means pulling force. Okay, so for example, this is cylinder 1, this is cylinder 2. Okay, so this is how much unbalancing force along the line of stroke, 1 minus c mr omega square cos theta. Okay, so this is cylinder 1, now this is cylinder 2. How much unbalanced force here? 1 minus c omega mr omega square cos theta. But cylinder 1 and cylinder 2 are 90-degree apart. Okay, so the just now we have seen the angle between cylinder 1 and cylinder 2 is 90-degree. So that's why here instead of theta, here it will be 90 plus theta. Okay, so how much tractive force is coming? Tractive force is 1 minus c mr omega square cos theta plus 1 minus, so summation of this mr omega square 1 minus c mr omega square cos 90 plus theta, which is coming 1 minus, sorry, minus sin theta. So if you take 1 minus c mr omega square cos omega 1 minus c mr omega square common, we are getting cos theta, and from here minus sin theta. So when it will be maximum, so you can integrate, differentiate this and put it equal to 0. So you are getting tan theta is equal to minus 1. So when it will be maximum? When theta is equal to 135 degree or 315 degree. So this is the maximum variation in tractive force, means the maximum force. If you put cos theta is equal to minus 45 or 135, you will get this. Okay, so this was variation in tractive forces. Then the second is variation in swaying couple. Okay, and then hammer blow. This hammer blow will be because of the unbalanced force in vertical direction. Okay, so this everything is there in textbook also. See here, hammer blow, variation of tractive forces. Okay, see here all this, and swaying couple. Okay, so now I will explain what is we have understand what is tractive force. So tractive force means along the line of stroke, how much tractive force it is there in two cylinder locomotive. Okay, so you got this. And now variation in swaying couple. If this force is different and this force is different, there will be definitely some couple. Okay, so how much swaying couple? 1 minus c mr omega square cos theta into a by 2. We are taking moment about this center. Okay, this center line. So if you are taking moment about this, minus 1 minus c mr omega square cos 90 plus theta into a by 2. Okay, so this is your swaying couple. Just what we are doing is we are taking moment about the center line. So now, because here it is minus, so sin this cos 90 plus theta will become minus sin theta, but it will become plus. So for maximum you have to differentiate this and put it equal to 0. So if you are getting sin theta is equal to plus 1 and it is coming 45 and 225 degree. So variation in swaying couple is coming. Put this theta value in this equation and you will get this result. Okay, so this is variation in swaying couple. And then now hammer blow. Hammer blow, why it is called hammer blow? This effect you should have felt in Indian Railway also. Okay, sometime that coach jump out. Okay, so that is because of this effect, hammer blow effect. So when the C fraction of reciprocating mass is balanced, so BB is equal to CMR. So in reality, balance mass attached on the wheel is not equal to, so you forget about this. This is somewhat, so we know that we had some unbalanced force in vertical direction. Okay, so this unbalanced force will be maximum when theta is equal to 90 degree and theta is equal to 270 degree, and it will be 0 when theta is equal to 0 degree and 180 degree. So this effect, theta is equal to 90 degree, it is positive. Theta is equal to 270 degree, it will be negative. So that's why it will go up and down, up and down. So that effect is called hammer blow effect. Okay, so this thing exactly we will understand when we will solve problem. So in next video I will solve problem on this what we have covered today, balancing of reciprocating parts in engines. Okay, so all these things are very important. Please complete this, make your notes, understand this, take the help of textbook. Okay, this everything is there, and whatever I have provided in notes is simple, just summary of all these things. Okay, so in next class we will solve some problem based upon this. Okay, thank you.